Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone in the good old USA. So we get money to do business. We don't do business to get money. You know what I'm saying? So you don't find a business and then find money. You build the money first and you have to leverage your credit for that. This is a framework, right? From level 0 to level 3. Level 0 is you've got your bad credit, your collections, et cetera, and et cetera. You owe your uncle, your goldfish, your dog, your cousin, and your ex. Then in level 1, you're wearing that blue. You're wearing that nice blue, which that blue represents, symphony, empathy, and you're trying to get to that next level. But when we get to level 2 is when we're green, when we actually start making money, right? That's when we are on level 2. Level 3 is purple. Purple is the color of royalty. So purple is the color of royalty. So let's talk about these four, what I'd like to think really say 3 levels. But let's talk about these levels in detail. Now, the job of a teacher, to take note, the job of a teacher is to not just give the answers to the students, but the job of a good teacher or a good professor is to allow the students to seek their answers. So I'm not going to read. So with that concept in mind, I'm not going to read everything that says here. So we'll do the drill. So right now you can read this. This is what you can read for you. Pause the video. Pause at 1, 2, 3. So hopefully you've paused the video. So in level 0, we talk about collections and a damaged credit. What does this mean? Folks, we live in a world and a society where if you have a spot or a wrinkle, nobody wants to deal with you, period. Nobody. Okay. So the starting line of everything is if you have a damaged credit or not. I would like for you guys to read this that comes out of my brain. This is proprietary framework, and this is not something off of Google that I've taken the time and I've written down. You are nowhere to be found on this level. You need to fix your credit, and this is what you have to read if you are stuck there, right? So once you're clean, you can go on to the next step. Late collections, derogatories. You didn't want to pay your membership at the gym at Blink. Aldos and Associates popped up, living funding. You had an issue with a repossession with a car. So you're level 0. You're not even in level 1. You're not even in the game. You've bought your controller and you're about to play the game. That's where you are if you're in level 0. Don't feel bad because we've all been there. There are different frameworks. There are different ways of removing that. But the worst thing you can do is feel bad. Level 1 is the foundation. So when we talk about level 1, we're talking about a framework that's effective enough to build our roots, if you may. So what does that mean, build our roots? That means that we always want to match the thing with the money, not the money with the thing. Let me explain. In this season of foundation, what I'd like for you to do is read this level 1 part. Read this right here that I just highlighted. Okay. Now, in this level, there are 3 steps. So level 1 has 3 steps. Take note. Take note. You probably have 1 to 3 credit cards. At this stage, you don't have no more than 3. And those cheap banks, right? That's an ugly word. Those cheap banks like Capital One, Credit One Bank, Concordia, or Discover, they've given you those startup limits of $500 or $300 limit or a $500 limit. You are at level 1, part A. So you probably got a 590 score or maybe a 680, a 650. Okay. So level 1, part A is that, this is the starting block and you're building it from 0 to 1. Level 1, part B, now you're growing, right? You're growing those stages to where you need to grow them. You need to have 3 to 7 personal. 3 to 7, it's recommended to have 3 to 7 personal credit cards. You can have 5, you can have 4. Nobody would be pissed off at you if you had 7, right? So level 1, part B, you're dealing with credit limits in the range of, so you got a credit card and that credit card is in the limit of $1,000 or maybe $5,000. And now your score is your FICO, right? Your FICO score that you can check on Experian.com for free after making an account is anything between 650 to 700. Now take note, I want you to read this whole thing right here. I have to move on for the sake of time, but I want you to read and pause the video, level 1, part B. So please go ahead and do that. All right. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. So let's continue to level 1, part C. And I want you to pause the video and I want you to read this. Level 1, step 3, or step C. At this point, we have credit limits of credit cards of $5,000 to $10,000 or above. Now that's per credit card. Okay. This is the type of level that you're ready to amplify yourself. Okay. This is the type of level where discipline has not been convenient, right? But discipline is what unlocked your step 3 in level 1. So pause the video if you didn't and read it, because remember, I'm a good teacher, so I'm not going to just read this and so that you don't do nothing. Put your time and your effort and sacrifice your time and your eyes for you to read. So we get money to do business. We do not do business to get money. This is an ideal position that you can amplify yourself. Let's move on now to level 2, right? We want to move on to level 2. Now we're going to get the money, but how are we going to get the money? You know, where are we going to get the money? Before I scroll down, I want to pause it there and I want to make sure that you read this. There are 3 phases to level 1, blah, blah, blah. I want you to read that. Pause the video. Hopefully you did. I'm scrolling down. Now, how are you going to get it? Where is it going to come from? All right, we're talking about $50,000, $100,000, $300,000, $400,000, even $500,000 from the bank, but you need a vehicle, right? So you need to have a vehicle. So what is the legal instrument, right? What is the legal instrument with the correct fuel? That's a corporation. So level 2, part A is going to be your vehicle. So I'd like for you to read this right here. I want you to read at this point, your prerequisites are, you're pretty cleaned up and you have already arrived from level 1 and you're in step 2 or in step 3 in level 1. So at this point from level 1, step 2, step 3, now you can move on to level 2. Now, LLC, C corporations, and S corporations. I'd like you to pause the video and I'd like for you to read this. Now don't come and tell me, well, what type of presentation is this if you don't even read what you wrote? Well, I wrote it, but now you read it. All right? Some good things have to cost you. There's no handouts here. Now, what is the benefit of coming with us? PRB Capital, Prosperity Restoration Battalion Enterprises has access to BRM and underwriters. So what does that mean? That means the BRM is a business relationship manager. Now, what does a business relationship manager mean? It means that, well, how about I show you? So there's 7 positions that matter in a bank, right? 7 positions that matter in a bank. Now, do keep in mind that we also have connections to incubators, hedge fund, private accredited investors, hedge funds, I said, and anybody that would be willing to lend $1, we have access to. However, specifically when it comes to the banks, right? When it comes to exactly the banks, there are 7 positions that matter. You got the maintenance guy, you got the teller, you got the supervisor, you got the phone operator, you got the cashier, and then you have somebody called the BRM. So the BRM tends to be usually a woman or tends to be a man. It depends on whatever role they're playing. But pretty much they are the ones. But pretty much they are the ones that issue the money with number 7, the underwriter. So PRB Capital, we have access to those relationships because we have taken those folks' deals, right? We've taken a deal to the BRM in New York and Chase. We've taken a deal to a man in Texas from Bank of America, which is a BRM. And we've taken this guy from Chicago and this guy from this way and this guy from Wisconsin or from Utah. So they make their decisions together. Sometimes if the BRM is not 100% shaking hands with the underwriter, then we just reach out directly to the underwriter. So at this stage in the bank hierarchy, what you need to understand is the reason why you come with us, if you want capital, which I suppose you do, is because we have direct access to those lenders. And what that means is the BRM and the underwriter. That's it. And of course, we charge a small commission so that we can also feed our families and we can also make a living. Okay. Now, why PRB Capital charges what it charges? Please read this. I do want to state that everything nowadays is done with AI. Everything is fast with AI. And because we have those connections with email, with text message, with phone calls, and face to face, this is why we have the luxury. The luxury of what? Well, the luxury to charge you a small commission, whether that be 10% or 15%, for you to get funds. It's the cost of doing business. That's what it is. It's the cost of doing business. Okay. Now, accessing the capital. Now, how do you get it? Now, that's the how and the where, but this is the how of how you're going to get it. You get it 70% out of 100%. 70% of that is going to go in the form of credit cards. So 0% interest credit cards. I want you to take note at this. Take note at this. I'm going to pause. I want to pause now. And I want you, because everybody says, well, yeah, you'll get the money, but they never tell you, well, how are you going to get it? So please read that, right? I want you to please read that, because business done quickly is business done badly. Okay. So this is what we need. This is what we need to understand. 70% of the cash, we get it at. So what is the best financial product in the whole United States of America? That's called 0% interest credit cards. That's the best one all over the USA. You use $50,000 up front, you pay $500 a month. You use $20,000 up front, you pay $200 a month. What are the terms, or what are the months? Some of them are 15 months, some of them are 12 months, some of them are 2 years, some of them are 8 months. It just depends on where we connect you to. That's it. So 70% of the money, we get it in credit cards, and 30% we get it cash to your bank account. Okay. Where do they come from? Usually from Chase, Truist, US Bank, etc. So that's how we get the money in level 2, part B. Now I want to make an interruption. I want to stress something out, right? I want you to remember that to aim at nothing is to be shooting everywhere. To aim at nothing is to be shooting everywhere. Millions of people walk around with a loaded life and aim at everything, but hit nothing. So don't be that person. When we talk about level 2, part B, the structure of how you get that money is 70% credit cards or 30% cash. And we can do vice versa. We can swap it up, depending on your deal, depending on how much cash you really need.